uh, Mr. Kumawat has given a broad context in which a broad context in India where about the left-wing extremist movement. I would like to slightly elaborate on that something more. Currently, the LWE is present, the left-wing extremist movement is present in about 12 states. Technically, when we say that, 12 out of 29, it might look big, but then most intense activity can be seen only in some states, not all. Bihar, Jharkhand, West Bengal, Odisha, Chhattisgarh, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, and Kerala. The areas which have been highlighted in given bold see some sort of a moderate to intense activity. Very intense is only in Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, to some extent in Bihar, and so on and so forth. Out of these 106 districts, only 35 we have very highly affected in 7 states. But what makes them tick is a big question. We have talked about the protracted armed struggle, the Maoist ideology, Marxist-Leninist Maoist thought that is driving them, everything. Without going into the ideological, these things, in addition to the strong ideological, basement they have, what drives them is the well-knit organizational structure. Organizational structure is this. When I say well-knit, it's as good as any other organization scientifically run. The Central Committee members, 19 Central Committee members, that is the centralized body, which gives a line of direction to the revolutionary movement in the country. There were, once upon a time, there were 39 members in the Central Committee. Now it is shrunk to 17. And with the recent introduction of 2 more people, it has risen to 19. Under the Central Committee, you have higher committees like the Central Military Commission, Politburo, standing committees, and the subcommittees like Subcommittee on Political Education, Urban, subcommittee, so on and so forth. Under the CMC, you have various other structures like, regional military commissions, divisional military commissions, so on and so forth. SMCs, the State Military Commission, the Special Zonal Military Commissions, and then organizationally you have different structures like Central Regional Bureau. There are 4 different bureaus in that thing. Central, Northern, and Eastern, and Southwestern. Just about 5 or 4 years ago, the Southwestern Regional Bureau was almost wound up because a lot of people got killed or arrested. But then, the latest developments show that the SWRB has also been revived. Under SWRB, you have Western Ghats Special General Committee, Tamil Nadu Special Committee, Karnataka, and Kerala. Why a specific mention is required about SWRB is that it shows the resilience of the Indian revolutionary movement. The resilience in the sense, the way the security forces deal with it and they get hit organizationally, militarily, and politically also, but then they rise like a phoenix again. 4 years ago, it was a great thing to write about. I wrote a huge piece on how SW has been nullified. But now it is back in action again. It may not be on the same level of revolutionary movement. We may not be seeing it in Western Ghats or in Tamil Nadu or Karnataka. But then the movement is still there. That is why we see that 106 districts, but highly active only in 35. It would be surprising to see that even J&K has got a leading team. Haryana has got a leading team. It doesn't mean that in Jammu and Kashmir we have the presence of left-wing extremists, but the leading team is seriously working, trying to understand the political and ground situations so that the revolutionary movement can be furthered there. This is the strong organizational structure that keeps them going. The revolutionary movement, as of now, I dare say, has hit a plateau. From the phenomenal rise from some pockets of the country, at various times, like in Naxalbari and West Bengal, or it could have been North Telangana in the erstwhile undivided Andhra Pradesh. It has risen like a phoenix. It has died down. 1946, we saw first armed insurrection against Nizam. That was the first left-wing extremism movement India has seen, as Mr. Kumaut has pointed out. Then came in the 60s. Then the current form of the Maoist movement, which we were earlier, it was only known as the CPI-ML People's War, struck root in North Telangana, an area which I hail from. And from there, it has risen. The North Telangana movement was so powerful that Prachanda was also inspired by this movement that was going on in North Telangana. Between the Indian Maoists and the Nepal Maoists, talks were going on, and the NT movement, North Telangana movement, has inspired Prachanda, and that is how, in 1996, the People's Protracted Armed Struggle was launched there. But leapfrog to 2016, it has hit a plateau. It is no more such a violence is there, but organizationally it has failed to spread. That is why I dare said it has hit a plateau. Recruitment is not happening. Whatever recruitment that is happening is only through the illiterates or semi-literate people that are joining the movement. At a time when we have seen that movement growing, it was the educated lot which were joining the movement with the idea of bringing a new democratic revolution through the chosen path of the protracted People's War. But now, the kind of a spatial spread what we have seen some time ago, just about a decade ago, is no more there. They are still battling for their existence. But organizationally, if they have failed to spread, organizationally, if they have failed to achieve that spatial spread, that is more than compensated by the military growth they have. They resort to higher forms of military leadership, military actions. And then the biggest, causative factor for this revolutionary movement hitting a plateau is the biggest leadership crisis that the Maoist party is witnessing now. The Central Committee members, all of them are 50 plus. There was a time when there was that youth brimming with that hope of revolutionary zeal working. But now, most of them have become old, and the second line leadership is not growing. That is another biggest leader. And militarily, most of the armed cadres in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh have been wiped out. Andhra is a success story, the undivided Andhra. But here, I'll come back to these military capabilities again. Despite the organizational loss, they are able to hit militarily. The kind of movement what we witness in the base areas like Bastar is a large-scale armed formation movement. It may not be, they call it battalion movement, but battalion may not be as strong as a CRP battalion is, but then it still is a battalion. So movement in a large formations itself shows the weakness of the armed cadre. Gone were those days when we had even towns had armed squads. Now everything is shrunk back to 2 or 3 areas, what they call the base areas. The Saranda forests in Jharkhand or in Bastar. Of course, Saranda also there have been some laudable successes from the security forces. But then DK and Saranda forces continue to be their strong points now. And very surprising development now is the admission of the Indian Maoists in the political and organizational review that was brought out in 2014. By far, that is, I think, the latest document we have in our hands to understand their thinking and the spread of their movement, is that even in DK, the Dandakaranya region, the Bastar region of Chhattisgarh, southern Chhattisgarh, the party has accepted that it has suffered a setback. It reminds me of a similar admission by the Maoist party that the revolutionary movement in Telangana is undergoing an ebb phase. That admission came in 2004 or 2003. In 2014, they are admitting DK, they are suffering a setback. And the situation is almost the same in Bihar, Jharkhand, and other countries, though they have not accepted it officially in their documents. The DK admission comes in their POR 2014, but Jharkhand and Bihar is my inference rather. If you go to other areas, the Northeast, a little bit of contextualization is necessary here. The Indian revolutionary movement can be seen in different phases in different areas. Though we talk about 106, according to the MHA figures, 106 districts are affected. Not all these 106 are very, very worrisome. They do not present a very worrisome picture. Some areas are still in organization phase. Organization phase is where they are strategically on a defensive stage, a defensive level, like in Northeast. But then the arrest of the senior Maoist cadres there, it has further weakened. That happened in, latest arrest came in 2015, October 2015. In Assam, again, there was an exchange of fire in which the state secretary and others were killed. And in Tamil Nadu, which is where you see this strategic defensive stage or organizational phase, in Tamil Nadu and Karnataka, again, it was the recent arrest of 3 state committee members and 2 state committee members in Karnataka has brought the movement to that organizational stage. Odisha, parts of Odisha, it is active. Odisha abutting Andhra Pradesh, that is where Narayanapatna and other areas, Balimala incident, you must have heard. You have heard about that. They are active there. But considering the organizational phase and the higher, base area stage, where they are almost on the mobile warfare stage, there are certain pockets in which they are trying to gain, and again, the tri-junctions are trying to be tri-junctions of different states of West Bengal, Jharkhand, Odisha, Bengal, Jharkhand, Odisha. These are the areas where they are trying to gain some strength. In SWRB, again, they are trying to gain their foothold in junctions of Karnataka, Kerala, and Tamil Nadu. And they are taking up local issues in Palakkad, Wayanad, Malappuram of Kerala. And very recently, I understand, they have started 3 armed squads. And activity, as you can see, that, they are opposing the mining activity. They are taking up, issue-based struggles, what they call the partial struggles. Partial struggles are a very important tool of protracted armed struggle. And coming to the SWRV, the another dangerous or most interesting angle to the left-wing extremist movement is that now they are focusing on trying to woo the Muslims, especially the poor Muslims. They have realized that they cannot survive without taking up the cause of Muslims now. So this is another cause. We do not know where this will lead to, but this has begun in the SWRB area. I think these support from Chasi, they're enlisting of support from different people's organizations like Chasi Muli Adivasi Sangh in Odisha. Very interesting development is happening in Odisha now. This is one of the most important, people's organization, mass organization that is supporting the Maoists. Now, this organization, there is a crisis going on. Some of the top leaders of this organization want to get out of that Maoist fold, believing or arguing that, by associating themselves with the Maoist party, they get hit and their activities would be nullified. So it remains to be seen how this thing will take place now. The issues being taken up are the routine these things, the coffee plantation issues, bauxite mining, land distribution, illicit liquor, MSP for vegetables. You can see that how much localized partial struggles they are launching in a serious bid to win over the local masses. Balimala resettlement. And coming to the other part of the South India, if you see Telangana and Andhra, almost all the Maoist cadres have been driven out of these 2 states, thanks to a very serious operational success. Operations are conducted by the security forces. Now, a very interesting fact here is that in Telangana, out of the 19 Central Committee members, 11 are from Telangana. They hail from Telangana area. Technically, they do have some, committees there, but all of these committees are working from Chhattisgarh. Very interestingly, Telangana has got a state committee called TSC, but all the state committees operate from Chhattisgarh. Andhra Pradesh State Committee was neutralized. Burra Chinnaya and 4 others were killed about 5 years ago. They haven't yet reconstituted the Andhra Committee, but AOBSZC, Andhra Orissa Border Special Zonal Committee, which is guided by Akirazu Haragopal alias Ramakrishna, the Central Committee member, he is coordinating the movement in Andhra Pradesh. Again, none of these armed squads are present in, Andhra or Vishaka agency. They take the shelter in Odisha area, which is very, very, the terrain is very hostile for the forces, and they keep jumping from Odisha to this place. We have come to, I have, this All India Violence Board, this shows a very interesting trend here. Why I say revolutionary movement has hit a plateau is that, you can see, of course, it would be slightly inappropriate to depend solely on the statistics, but I must say, I must take recourse to interpretation of these things. If you see the security forces killed in 2014, it was 88. Left-wing extremist activists killed were 63. In 2015, security forces killed 59 and LW activists killed 89. 2016, it is 65 security forces killed and left-wing extremists killed is 222. As I said, it would be slightly inappropriate to talk about deaths and say that this is successful and this is not successful, but then the fact remains that the revolutionary movement, instead of registering that sort of a spectacular spatial growth, it has hit a plateau, and the military successes of the security forces have been on a continuously increasing path. You can see if you draw it on a map, it is going up. That means that gradually the strategic defensive stage in which the security forces were finding themselves in the base areas or in some areas, the Indian security forces have managed to bring it down, scale down the level of revolution to the strategic equilibrium stage. Wherever it was there in a strategic equilibrium stage, they have been forced to strategic defensive stage. For example, Andhra, United Andhra, was almost on a strategic equilibrium stage, if not on the mobile warfare stage. The movement has been pushed into strategic defensive stage, as you know, that the cadres operate from some other states. That is why my argument, I never get tired of arguing that, this revolutionary movement is going to die down on its own if the governments act properly. What do I mean when I say properly? It is easy to talk about number of deaths, number of killings in exchange of fire or weapons seized, weapons, recovered, whatever. But the fact remains that the civil administration has to step in after the security forces clear that area. Gone were those days, Mard, Abu's Mard. Abu's Mard technically means Abu's is unknown, Mard is hills. During one of the interactions I had with the top Maoist leaders, including Ganapati, the Central Committee member, he urged us not to use Abu's Mard name. He wanted us to call it only Mard because Abu's means unknown. In a rather satirical way, or Mr. Ganapati told me never to use Abu's because Maoists know what the Mard area is. From that stage, now the same Mard area where Maoist security forces were unable to move, you get to see that security forces are moving. That means the military success is happening, but the fact remains that the civil administration is unable to fill in that gap. If only we have done that, as Andhra did to a large extent. The success of Andhra is not just the military success, it is not just the Greyhounds and the SIB, but the coordinated action. The coordinated action of intelligence-driven operations. One of the speakers from Israel had pointed out, there is no point in having extremely good intelligence inputs. It has to be passed on to the operational units. That happened. At the same time, there was a political will and there was a lot of, civil action that was happening. I won't say that, civil action, civil development, the societal development took place at such a rapid pace, but then the administration managed to move in, thereby the large sections of society which were hitherto supporting the Maoists again repose their confidence in the parliamentary democracy setup, and that is how the Maoists have been driven out of Telangana and Andhra, now Telangana and Andhra, earlier Andhra Pradesh, United Andhra Pradesh. If battalions of Greyhounds can be established and the jungle warfare schools can be established elsewhere in the country, the other states appear to be failing in what Andhra Pradesh did. They have only been copying the military tactics of Andhra Pradesh rather than viewing the entire scenario as a whole. That is why when the revolutionary movement has hit a plateau, this is the time, irrespective of whichever political party is in the states, the centers and states must move together so that from the organizational defensive stage, equilibrium stage, Maoist movement can be successfully tackled. Thank you so much.